All right, who needs source to say? Who needs Here Comes the Boom? This is happy hour.
Hold on. Let's try this again. There, wait.
Nobody knows which show this is.
All right. Okay. You know what, Stephen Peak? You decide to go on vacation. You decide to screw us with no producing, no graphics, no anything. So this is, folks, this is going to be the ugliest show you have ever seen. Our faces are way too big because guess what? I have I couldn't figure out how to get the graphics and all that.
Do you want to play any more intros?
No, I don't want to break anything else. But this is a Sources Say, Here Comes the Boom happy hour, I guess, crossover. But Jack Pilgrim here with Jacob Polacheck. We just got back from Memphis for Nike EYBL Session II, the live period, the very first live period of the cycle where Mark Pope, Mo Williams, Cody Feger, Mikhail McLean all made their way through the Memphis Sports and Events Center. And it was eventful, Jacob. It was a lot. It was chaotic. Thousands of coaches, as we talked about on the drive back, thousands of coaches in attendance, shoulder to shoulder.
Jack asked me
don't embarrass me like that. Don't do that.
If there were thousands of coaches in that gym. I had to remind him how many Division I basketball teams there are.
No, I was thinking in my head, okay, there are three, coaches. Schools can send as many as one head coach, 3 assistants on the road. When you factor in all the agents, when you factor in all the programs and the players and their support staffs, up over 1,000 people in that gym, to my credit. So we did hit 4 figures, but that's not why we're here. We're talking about Kentucky's top offers, all the news that came out of this weekend. Jamal Crawford, we had a one-on-one conversation with Jamal, and we get to talk about that and how all that unfolded. What?
The 2-on-1 conversation.
2-on-1 conversation. So news is breaking as this show's going on. It's been a chaotic mess, but so what are the 2 new updates that just dropped as we were trying to get this stupid show started?
2 new offers, Darius Wobbington of the Compton Magic and Aiden Diggs, who's with Vegas Elite. Is that
right? You said Aiden Diggs?
Yeah.
Vegas Elite, yes, alongside Demarcus Henry.
Diggs is a 28, but has been highly rumored to reclass into 27, and Wobbington is a 27 center. Diggs is number 1 player in 28. Really good. Arizona's been in there a while, but everyone's going to be in that recruitment after the weekend that he had. And I think he has a legitimate case to be in that conversation for number 1 in 2027 if he does reclass.
Fascinating. We did have several others up to this point. Look, just for background knowledge for our viewers right now, this is what was going to be the background. But I also gosh, this is just an absolute mess. All right, this isn't working. None of this is working. But the graphic was supposed to have all of the offers that Kentucky has extended, and it's just not showing up today. So you know what? Screw me. 4-star center Caleb Origu was one of them. That was one that we didn't watch a ton of this weekend. Not a lot of New York Rens. But what was the connection with that one?
He just had a good game this weekend. He played at Overtime Elite last season. I talked to his dad today, and basically he said, good conversation. Don't know a whole lot about Kentucky. Have a bunch of schools that are calling after this weekend, and they're still trying to figure out where to go. They have some upcoming visits, but he decided not to disclose those. So keeping it a secret. We'll see where he ends up, but he's got offers from Tennessee, Kentucky, Syracuse, St. John's. The list just goes on, and you're going to continue to see more offers for that kid.
We're just going in chronological order because it has just been an absolute mess of a day with all these new offers pouring in. But I think maybe the most intriguing offer of the day comes in 2028, kid that wasn't even in the gym with us at EYBL in Memphis. But every conversation that I had in some form or fashion revolved around Jan Kamagate, the 7-footer. Playing on the 3SSB circuit. Coaches would come up to me that they just got back from Indiana at 3SSB and said, bro, have you seen that Compton Magic dude? He's the number 1 player in the class. Kentucky extends an offer. I believe Mikhail McLean was the only Kentucky staff member in attendance for Jan in Indiana at that event. So what can you say about by far the fastest stock riser in the class? And is there anything to keep an eye on with a reclass? I mean, he's blowing up the way he is, and he's a 2028 with as much interest as he is getting. Is there any chance that he could make the jump to 27?
Yeah, I mean, we talked to a ton of college coaches, maybe even thousands, about this kid, and they all claim that he has a chance to be the number one player in the country, regardless of class. I texted a college coach today who was at Adidas, and I said, hey, I heard some coaches say he could be the best player in the country, regardless of class. And he wrote back, it's not particularly close. So he is that good. And as far as a reclass right now, I've heard that he's pretty locked in on 2028. Nobody's like really ruled it out. I've gotten some TBD texts, but for the most part, the belief is that he'll stay in 28. And I think he's a 7-foot center, 7'1". So really good size, put up monster numbers. And yeah, so that was one that I think everyone saw coming as far as an offer when we were in Memphis.
Since we're just being ridiculous on this show, I think I want to tell the story about me reaching out to Kamagate.
Did I hear the story?
Yes, you do. I reached out to him to confirm the offer and say, like, you know, what any type of statement. And he said, let me go back and find it because it is quite hilarious. Thank you, coach, for this opportunity with the blessing. So did I offer Jan?
He has an offer from Kentucky, or does he think he got one because Jack Pilgrim DM'd him?
Kentucky offer, bang, you got one. You're the number one player in the class. You get one. No, he has since confirmed it and put it on his own Instagram story, and Compton Magic, where they were the ones to announce it to begin with. So yes, he does have an offer. No, I did not catfish this guy. It was just from my own personal Twitter account. So I don't think I'm posing as a head coach, but he did call me coach, and I'm definitely not a coach. Sean Smith is the coach of this Source of Say establishment. I'm just here for the bad looks and worse takes. So that was a fascinating one. Definitely one of the bigger talking points of the entire event was just how good he was and who he's going to end up becoming. But as for the other 2027s, King Gibson, the number 2 player in the class of 2027, we talked to him the very first night. He was playing out of his mind the entire weekend. We dropped our takeaways when we get on our way back from Memphis, and he was by far one of the easiest ones to talk about. He was as good as it gets. Consistently very good from the time we got there to the time we left. What can you say about King Gibson, who called his shot in that interview on Friday night? He said, "Hey, you're playing as well as anybody. Where's the offer?" And he's just like, "Soon." Kind of had that. I know it's coming, and here we are on Monday that he has an offer in hand.
I mean, I watched him play and thought this guy legitimately has a strong chance to be the best player in the class. And you can say that about a lot of guys, but he is playing alongside the number 1 player in the class in CJ Rosser, and I thought that he was the best player on the court in almost all of their games this session. He's a guy that, even though the offer is new, Kentucky reached out to him June 15th, the first day that they could reach out to rising juniors last year. So they've been in contact throughout this whole process. But since the Mo Williams hire, they've really ramped it up. Obviously, the point guard to point guard connection. Mo's been talking. I think he said he had a 2-hour call with Mo Williams. And there's some questions on, is King Gibson a point guard? Is he a shooting guard? I asked him. He said, I'm a combo guard. I can do both. But it does help.
You're a point guard, shooting guard? Neither.
I am a center. I am a 6'3" center. No, he is a combo guard, and Kentucky is expected to be one of the schools to really heavily pursue this summer.
Yeah, I really like talking to him. I love the fact that Mo Williams is having 2-hour phone calls with the top guy. I asked him, I was like, what's it like having Mo Williams, NBA All-Star, world champion, 14 years in the NBA, having that guy pick up the phone and say, hey, here are all the reasons why you're going to be excellent and why we need you in a Kentucky uniform. And he was just like, it is very, very cool to, be able to talk to somebody who's been there and done that and knows what it takes to play at the highest level and not just get to that level, but thrive and succeed and win at the highest level and, earn the accolades that come with that. So it is just something. This was our first chance this weekend, Jacob, to see Mo Williams' impact on the recruiting trail and what that can be, talking to these kids about Mo and hearing from his pitch. So I think King was probably the one who is most outspoken about Mo and how his message is resonating. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on. But the most recent, outside of the ones we talked about to start the show, is Kaden Dory, who just lit the world on fire to start the event on Friday. 37 points, just as good as it gets as a scorer in the class at the point guard spot. Undersized, but man, the dude just knows how to fill it up. And, it was fascinating. You went up and talked to him, and he hadn't heard from Kentucky up to that point. It's kind of one of those deals where it was like, man, what are we missing here? Why not? Time is what was missing because we got there on Monday, and the dude who's very clearly deserving of an offer got one. So what can you say about Kaden Dory?
Yeah, I mean, I think he was one of the best players at this whole event. He played the game that I watched basically in its entirety was against Jet Academy, which has Chase Lumpkin, another guard that Kentucky offered after the first session. And no offense to Lumpkin, he's a really good player, but Kaden Dory was far and away the best player on the floor. He dominated that game, and I thought after that game, this guy, if he doesn't get an offer from Kentucky, then the Kentucky staff must know something about another school that they don't want to get involved. Everyone's going to be involved in this recruitment. And it's funny because he might not be very well known to Kentucky fans at this point, a 4-star guard, but he is famous. I went up to him to ask for an interview, and I had to wait because he had about 4 kids asking to take pictures with him. I asked him about that. It's like, all right, what's it like being a high school junior, now high school senior, and you're having kids asking to take pictures with you, being a celebrity? And he said that it really started at OTE, and he kind of gained a little bit of a fan base already. So he's got a ton of fanfare, and I became a fan after this weekend because he was really awesome. So I was happy to see him get the offer.
It's that Tay Kenny 6'7" nonsense. It's just that it's taken over. It's a plague that's taken over the world, and we don't love it. We do not love it, but we love the talent. Man, he was just so talented. Like, just scores at all 3 levels. Plays with like a pace and a poise where, like, yeah, he's undersized, but he plays bigger than. And I know it's just it's a cliche for a lot of the undersized guards that they play beyond their size, but he really is one of those guys, and just professional bucket getter, knows how to put the ball in the basket. So I definitely loved him. But that wraps up the offer, latest offers. And who do you think is in the next group of, clearly they're just, this wave of offers isn't going to slow down anytime soon. Who else? What?
Demarcus Henry.
Yeah, that actually happened while we were still there. Demarcus Henry, number 10 player in the class of 2027, playing for Vegas Elite, who alongside Aiden Diggs, who's the number 1 player in the class of 2028. But yeah, Demarcus Henry was just, in terms of eye test, probably, one of the best, if not the best guy, where you just watch him and you go, okay, he's clearly got some stuff to him. He is the brother of Chris Henry Jr., who is a, top 10, number 1 wide receiver, signed on to play at Ohio State, freshman this coming fall. Runs in the family. He is the son of the late Chris Henry, who was the wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals for 6 years and tragically passed away. But you could tell watching him that he just kind of had that extra level to him, a 3-level score, long, but just gets after it defensively, just this nonstop motor, diving for loose ball, setting hard screens, just you want to play through this guy, and he just had that gravity to him of like, hey, this guy has a chance to be special. And then almost immediately afterward, he gets the phone call that Mark Pope extends the offer, and there we go. So what can you say about him? What did you like about him? And particularly that interview that we had, I thought was really insightful, and he shared some really, really fascinating stuff about his life and journey to basketball, because there was a chance that he wasn't even going to be playing basketball, Jacob.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about one thing. He's Mormon, which helps Mark Pope
How did we miss that, dude? Like,
I know.
God, it kind of pissed me off when Joe put that. Joe interviewed him in a separate interview, and he brought that up. Well, because BYU was one of his very first visits. He took an unofficial to Provo, but I thought that was just like a money deal. Like, they're just trying to stack talent. I just didn't connect those dots. But I got to be honest.
I haven't worked "Are you Mormon" into my usual recruiting questions.
So where have you seen your game grow the most over the last 6? Oh, by the way, are you or are you not Mormon?
Yeah. No,
this one would be a unique yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, you already had that connection. I mean, he got a ton of offers over the course of the weekend, and he told KSR, like, I feel like I'm the best player in this class, and after watching him play, I'm not sure I'm ready to put him at number 1 yet, but he's in my top 5. Like, I think he firmly is in the top 5. I mean, it's funny when you have a guy who enters the weekend already ranked number 10 in the class, and we're calling him one of the biggest risers of the weekend. That should say everything you need to know. He was awesome. He should be in the top 5 in this 2027 class, and he's going to be a priority for basically every major school in the country.
Yeah, in Kentucky it was a straw that broke the camel's back with everything else that fell for the rest of the weekend, because he got UNC immediately after. We got Arkansas from there, and it's just the snowball effect is there. But it was the first blue blood. Like, he had gotten a bunch of very good offers up to this point, had established himself as a clear, stock riser of the class, but hadn't solidified himself as that next level, like, established talent. Like, this guy's clearly got the goods to be a superstar, one of the best in the class. So I think hearing him talk about it, there was like, hey, there's just this threshold that you hit as a basketball player where you're good, you're trending in the right direction, but you haven't made it yet until you've got earned blue blood status. And Kentucky was the difference with that one. So definitely one of my favorite players to watch. And I just love Aiden Diggs, that back and forth of watching both of them go to work together. Aiden Diggs was consistent, and I told a bunch of coaches watching when we're comparing notes as it's going on. Like, Aiden Diggs, every time I watched him play, was just doing something methodical, just getting to his spots, so poised and sure of himself as a scorer. I absolutely loved him. He's on reclass watch for 2027 as well. So I loved watching those two play together. So that
what's not methodical is us going to Memphis and not talking to Aiden Diggs. That was not very smart.
I thought you talked to him.
I thought you talked to him. Neither of us talked to Aiden Diggs. We'll talk to him. We'll be at Peach Jam later this summer.
Brandon Ramsey's going to Kansas City this weekend to see
I'm going
Session
to
3
this weekend for a wedding, and I'm probably going to sneak into the gym and go talk to Aiden Diggs.
Hey, I like that. There we go. Always on the grind. So that wraps up the offers that we've gotten thus far, but who did you watch over the course of the weekend that you think could be the next in line to receive an offer from the University of Kentucky?
Next in line, that's tough because I feel like these guys, I had probably 3 names and they got offered today. I mean, one guy, I don't know if he's next in line to get an offer from Kentucky, but I really liked Louis Uvlo. He's probably the best shot blocker in high school basketball. I think he's like 6'11". He's from Prolific Prep. He had an awesome first session, and he was really good in this second session. I didn't see a ton of college coaches watching, or a ton of Kentucky coaches watching his games with Night Riders, but I think that he's going to get offers from a ton of different schools. A guy that we haven't talked about who had a probably up and down weekend was Paul Osarui. He's a guy that got a Kentucky offer pretty late compared to some of the other schools that offered him. He got offered a few weeks ago. And he's a guy that was on reclass watch for a little while, but he told KSR that he is not planning to reclass, so he'll be staying in 27. That's one to watch. He's got visits to, I think, UNC and Arkansas coming up. Another guy that's on reclass watch is Ryan Hampton, the 6'5" guard. I talked to his dad, and his dad said that they are strongly considering a reclass. They're looking at it around Peach Jam time, and I think that if he remains in 27, that's a guy that Kentucky could really push hard for.
Sources tell KSR that he will not be an option for Kentucky in 2026. So we'll just leave it at that. But yes, as a 27, there's a lot to like. He's a very toolsy guy, long, athletic, clearly knows how to, go score at will. Inconsistent as a shooter, but the dude just has that knack. You can watch a guy and say, hey, that guy is, I don't think he has, as of right now, what it takes to be a star this coming season, but I do think he could be that with an extra year in high school. So I would prioritize him as a 27. I think he has, if you just watch him, if you watch him walk into a gym, he very obviously has the build and the frame and moves like a star, presents himself like a star, but there are traits that you don't love about him. There were times when I'd watch him that there would be a breakaway, opportunity that he could very easily athletically get down the floor and pin a shot on the backboard, or, make that extra effort to, get the steal or get a deflection, whatever the case was, that he didn't make, hunted his own shot a little bit too much. His team stinks. Like, his AAU team absolutely sucks, and that was a bigger talking point of, Ryan's having to play a little bit out of character. He's putting too much on his shoulders and having to do too much, and that's why he's not looking the way he could in a better system. And there is a lot of truth to that, but underwhelming. I was watching him specifically this weekend to say, is this guy, if Kentucky were to miss on Milan Momcilovic, if they don't get a Tunde Yesufu, go down the list of the stars that we have and the withdrawal candidates and international routes, Ryan Hampton is like right there as the possibility, possible stars among next options. And I watched and I didn't see it, Jacob. I'll be honest. I saw it as a kid who needs another year of high school before he could break through in 2027.
An overlying theme of this weekend as we head into the summer is production versus potential. He's one of those guys very high on the potential list, but I think that as you get past this first weekend and this first live period, and then you get into Peach Jam, the scales start to tilt a little bit more towards production. And he's a guy that if he wants to stay in that top 10 spot in the rankings, he's going to have to amp up the production. We know the potential is there, but you need to see it, because there's guys that are really starting to produce, and he needs to keep up with them, especially if he wants to go 26.
Mm-hmm. I do not want to gloss over Louis Uvoil. You nailed it with the next Kentucky offer. A guy who is trending perfectly at the right direction. He was also the talk of EYBL in the gyms, and I know Kentucky is definitely interested in that one. But he is such a. I love what I loved about him when I watched him was, it's not that he's just an unbelievably gifted shot blocking talent. Like, I had another coach in the gym that has been doing this for a very long time, and watched him and said he is up there among the, knowing that I'm a Kentucky guy. He said that's the next Nerlens Noel, Anthony Davis, Willie Cauley-Stein level shot blocker. He's like,
John Calipari said that to you?
Who?
John Calipari said that to you?
No, he did not. John Calipari was not interested in we'll leave it at that one. That wasn't the best Coach Cal interaction, but I still love the guy. But yes, somebody that's been around the block several times, that has seen a lot of basketball in his day, knowing that I am a Kentucky guy, said that's your next fill in the blank superstar shot blocker at Kentucky if Kentucky were to pursue him. So and he lives it up, but. It's not that he can be that and that he is that right now, and he's trending right now. I love that the industry ranking on Rivals has him at 144 nationally. He is not that. Rivals has him at 45 nationally and sixth at the power forward spot. He is not that. He is going to be a top 10 guy in this class. But I love that he is a massive trash talker. Just like, he'd block your shot and like point at you and be like, ha ha, and get down the floor and then rip the rim off on a dunk. Love his personality, the character, like charisma. He just has a ball playing basketball, and you love that. Like, at the end of the day, we're all playing a child's game. It is, you're doing this for fun. Yes, it's a business. Yes, you're trying to be in the NBA and change your own life, change your family's life, but It's still a game. You want to have fun. And Louis Uvo has an absolute ball beating the crap out of his competition and averaging 6.5 blocks a game, I think. Just superstar shot blocker, rim protector, athlete. I love everything about him, and I really hope that Kentucky picks up its interest in pursuit. Before we kind of transition into the other top targets that we watched, give a shout out to our friends at BetMGM. Hey, look, watch this, Jacob. You see this?
Oh, man.
Bang! I got that one to work.
I thought you were going to screw this up. I thought BetMGM was about to pull their sponsorship.
No, never. I at least got this one figured out. The conference finals are here with 2 great matchups. Be a part of the playoff action when you bet with boosted odds. Activate your odds boost token for any bet on the NBA playoffs, and you'll receive a bigger payout if your bet wins. Get ready for tip-off with BetMGM. Shout out to BetMGM and for making me this pretty graphic so I didn't have to. That means a lot. Speaking of conference finals, who you got in the Eastern Conference Finals and Western Conference Finals?
I got the Cavs and the Spurs. Those 2 teams are still in the playoffs, correct?
Yeah, over the Thunder.
I think the Thunder are going to lose. I feel it. And I think Wemby wins his first ring this year.
Gets a revenge for not getting MVP over Shea.
Was that much of a conversation? I don't watch a lot of NBA. I'm going to be fully honest. Was that?
I kind of like it. I kind of want to just keep digging on this and just watch you squirm a little bit. I think it'd be fun.
Yeah. I did not realize. I knew Wemby was like top 5. I didn't know he was like in real conversations for MVP. But yeah, no, I think when Wemby wins his first ring, the Cavs advance over the Hawks in the Eastern Conference Finals, and Mo Williams loses his ring because the Cavs lose in the finals. Sorry, Mo.
Oh, good grief.
I don't know NBA. I don't know how things work and how players keep their rings after they win championships.
It just gets passed on.
We're going to go off the rails if you keep asking me NBA questions.
Oh, good grief. Speaking of MVP conversation, CJ Rosser brought up the fact that he wants to be he wants to win an MVP down the road. And hey, if there's a school that knows how to produce MVPs, it's the one that just created back-to-back MVPs in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So CJ Rosser, we talked to him. Fascinating kid, like sweetheart. Totally innocent. He's been on Sources Say, so you guys that watch the show and listen to the show, he both of us. I mean, it is a crossover episode. So CJ is an absolute sweetheart. Love him to death. Shy, got to get him out of his shell. Trying to dig a little deeper on that one. But
CJ, we got to get you on Happy Hour one of these days. I know you're watching this.
But without the country boy, that would not would not go. That is definitely a violation, and we don't want to commit one of those. But CJ Rosser, country boy, he talked about that on our show. We saw the video, the videos and photos of him taking Mark Pope and Mikhail McLean, bless their hearts, because they can't fish worth a lick. And CJ joked about it in our interview with him. So it was like, yeah. They can't fish, but it was. I appreciate their efforts. I appreciate them trying.
Give credit where it's due, though. He did say who the better fisherman was between the 2 of them.
Mark Pope. So Mikhail, buddy, if Mark Pope fishing for the very first time in his life is better than you, Mikhail, we gotta get some work done on that one. So it was a great interview. He talked about he wants to, make his family proud more than anything. Yes, he wants to be a number 1 pick. Yes, he wants to become an MVP and all-star one day and all that stuff. But more than anything, he just wants to make his family proud. And I think his family would have been proud with his performance this weekend at EYBL. Very talented kid. Just one of those guys that you watch him operate and move and you say, he's got the goods. He has every tool you could ever dream of at 6'10", 200 pounds long, athletic, but more than anything moves well, just runs like a gazelle and very fluid, but, jumper that didn't fall. I think he may have finished 0% from 3 on 15 attempts. I wish I had that in front of me. I'll go check when you start yapping, but you could just watch it. The eye test with him is better than I think even the production. And a lot of it is 98, got a $1,000 move for a 10-cent finish at times where he gets to his spots and you love it and then he just doesn't make the shot. But there's so much to work with. He's a piece of clay, young, innocent piece of clay that you just, Mark Pope wants to get his hands on and turn into, future number 1 pick. So I love CJ Rosser. I hope Kentucky lands him. I think they probably have, if you're thinking of the most traction of any kid in the gym at this stage of their recruitments, I think CJ Rosser probably wins that one with flying colors, I'd say.
Yeah, he's already visited. He is really, really good. I think that potential-wise, there's probably hey. What?
At least I'm pee and you're poo.
What are we doing?
Anyway, keep talking about
it. No, really. No, what are we doing, man? Come on. That's not nice. That's really not nice. All right. What are we talking about? CJ Rosser?
CJ Rosser. Hold on, I have his
stats up.
5. He shot 5% from 3. 5. He went 1 for 20 from 3. Hell yeah, CJ, got that one.
Jack's slandering you. Next time you need an interview, come to me. Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that he's basically what NBA scouts will drool over in the NBA. He's 6'9", maybe 6'10", like can stretch the floor a little bit. He didn't shoot great, but he can hit mid-range shots. And he's going to have everyone in on his recruitment for the entire next year. But I think he said, was he the one guy that said he wasn't going to totally drag it out throughout the whole year? He
said, "I'll know when I know," and he said, "I'm not in any rush, but when I know, and I'm not going to drag it out just for the sake of dragging it out."
That was the quote I was thinking of. So. Yeah, he's already been on. It's a good sign when he's already been on Kentucky's campus because Kentucky hasn't really hosted a ton of 27s. They've clearly made him a priority, and I think he probably has the highest upside of any player in this class.
Yeah, averaged 13 points, 7 rebounds, 2 blocks, 1 assist, 1 steal per game. Wasn't his best all-around showing. The efficiency really struggled. 28.3 percent from the field overall, so not his best shooting ever, but you just another eye test guy. Just watch him play, and that will tell a lot of the story. And I do think that I think the beauty of this class is there's so much good talent up top without any like legitimate superstars, obvious like can't miss guys where you can kind of put your eggs in a bunch of different baskets and position yourself to land 2 or 3 of them as complementary fits instead of saying, hey, we're building everything around you. So I do think that works in Kentucky's favor absolutely after kind of how things unfolded in 2026 with Tyron and how things could have gone and they went that way and pivoted against some other more favorable options that they would have landed. So that does work in their favor, but of that group, CJ, I would say, is probably the one that Kentucky has the best shot at right now. As for some of the others, King Gibson, we talked about. Anything else you want to add on that would be great as well. But Marcus Spears Jr. with Drive Nation, he had a very good weekend. 30 burger in one day and had a game winner on the other. Love Marcus Spears. He is the Swagoo's young.
What is happening?
You there? Can you see me? That's not good. You there?
I don't know if I'm glitching out or he is.
Oh, good. Hold on. You there? All right, we're going to kick Jacob out. This is hilarious. All right. Anyway, while he gets his stuff figured out, Marcus Spears Jr. was awesome over the course of the weekend. Had a 30-point game, then had a game winner, and was big talking point. He is the ESPN analyst, Marcus Spears Sr. and former NFL superstar and LSU superstar. So that is definitely one. LSU, unfortunately, is going to be right there in the mix of things, but Kentucky offered a long time ago, and they were courtside for most of his game, so that's definitely one to watch. Reese Alston, skip to my Lou's son. He was playing on the Puma circuit. I believe on the last day, Mark Fox was the one to fly out to Tulsa and watch him play in that one, and he's of the point guard options, definitely among the top tier there. But Paul Osarui at number 5. He's probably the most polarizing player in the class, especially there at the very top, because physically he is so gifted, and I mean, looks like he was just built in a factory, just ready-made to be a college star. Jumps out the gym, long, athletic, skilled, versatile. You love a lot of what he does, but there's so many times where the motor just goes way up, way down, way up, way down. So inconsistent. Some kind of moody concerns, and the body language isn't great at times, and kind of one of those guys that when things are going really well, he plays out of his mind, and when things are going poorly, he kind of presents the worst version of himself. So I love a lot about Paulo Cerui. I want to see more of him. He's super gifted. Let's see, we good?
Yeah, I didn't know if it was my end or your end. So
it was definitely yours.
Okay, I'm back.
Yeah.
Definitely
yours. I'm just talking about Paulo Osarui. In fact, what is my feedback on Paulo Osarui? I just went on a little mini tangent on Paul. What did you think I said about him?
He's tall, could be more efficient, really physical. Probably should stay 27.
Yeah, I said just somebody who I want to see more of and live up to his potential a little bit better. I think some of the moodiness and body language at times can be frustrating, and plays well when things are going well. The body language is good when things are going well, and body language is poor when things are going poorly. And I'd just like to see a little bit more consistency.
26 or should he stay 27? Physically, he's there for 26.
Yeah, I mean, he looks like he's built like a Greek god. Like, I mean, it looks like Hercules. Like, yes, he could play in 26, but some of the maturity stuff needs to stay 27 if that's going to continue to be a thing. But I don't know. We'll see. I just don't think there's enough traction there with Kentucky anyway to make it much of a conversation on our end anyway. But Beckham Black. Man, I love Beckham Black.
Stop talking to me about Beckham Black this weekend.
Man, I love Beckham Black.
You did.
Yeah. Beckham wasn't the most productive. I think Kaden Dory won that trophy, whatever medal, if you win like Session II MVP or whatever, like Kaden Dory, I think won in that regard. But Beckham Black, I think, was the most consistent. King Gibson was up there as well. He was very, very good throughout the weekend. But Beckham Black, I think King was more of your guy. Beckham was more of my guy. Beckham, shot maker, hits it at all 3 levels, but really just tough shots, but so confident. His confidence is on a different planet, and you can kind of tell when you start getting in a groove, and kind of has some Jamal Murray to him, and once he hits one and the net the rim starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and then the shot difficulty goes as high as he needed to, and the efficiency stays right where it needs to. So yeah, I thought Beckham Black was awesome. Had a couple of ridiculous blocks, and had a inbound from mid court, threw an absolute pinpoint laser pass at the rim for a lob dunk that blew the rim off the place. He was just awesome. The issue with Beckham, unfortunately, is that his brother's Anthony Black. Anthony Black played at Arkansas.
That's why he plays for Anthony Black Elite. Oh my God, I never put that together.
You're an idiot. Anthony Black was there. talking a lot with John Calipari, unfortunately, and Arkansas is very, very much in the mix for that one. So I think Kentucky understands that it probably has its hands full on that one, and I would hate to see, like, all right, you guys got Jordan Smith, who was one of my favorite players in the class last time. You don't need to keep doing this. Stop taking my favorite players and being selfish and bringing them to Fayetteville. Stop it. Like, save some for Kentucky. We it's time. You guys have had plenty. Now it's time for us to have our fair share and enjoy some elite talent. I do think Beck and Black is in the conversation there. What did you like about Beck and Black in your viewings?
I didn't watch him a lot. I'm gonna be honest.
Anyway, on to the next.
You were talking about him the whole week. I was like, Jack's watching him. I don't need to go see him. Jack's gonna talk about him on Here Comes the Boom.
Sources say. Musa Kamisoko.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like we watched some PSA guys, Colton Hiller especially, and I know Kentucky loves him, and he's definitely gonna, I think for my money he's gonna, finish top 3 in the 2028 class. But he's a dude. He's very, very talented, but he's kind of a co-star for PSA there. Any thoughts on the top 10 talent who Kentucky was in for quite often?
I mean, I think 28 is a really good class. And I think that you had kind of a clear top 3 with Diggs, AJ Williams, and Colton Hiller. And then now it's kind of a top 4 when you talk about Kentucky's new offer, the guy we talked about. And so it's the 28 class is really strong at the top, a lot of good guards. And now you're going to have to see like what guys stay in 28, what guys reclass. Hiller, there's not a lot of reclass buzz, but Aiden Diggs and AJ Williams are 2 guys with reclass buzz. So if those guys reclass, like Hiller becomes really that guy that you look at and say, man, he's potential number 1 pick in 2029.
2 guys I want to get your thoughts on before we transition into Jamal Crawford story and conversation. I just had it. Where'd it go?
Oh, whoa, wait. One guy in 28 we didn't talk about, Eric Dampier. Mark Pope was a ton of his games. He was a guy that when I talked to him back at Peach Jam last year, or I talked to his dad at Peach Jam last year, he said that he was talking to Mark Pope a little bit. We talked to him again this week, and so Pope can't reach out to 28s yet directly, but Dampier Sr. has been talking to Mark Pope pretty often. So that is one to watch, especially because Pope was at a ton of his games.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Pope connects the best with that, and we'll talk about Jamal Crawford here in a second. Former athlete, former guy with NBA experience, putting a son through the same process that they did. There's a lot of chemistry and connection there. Same with Mo Williams. Like we're seeing a trend here with that, and I do think that that's where Pope will probably get the most traction, especially with Eric Dampier. And I talked to Eric Sr. and he talked a lot about like, hey, it was funny. The first thing that came out as though he was a Mississippi State superstar. First thing that he brought up was, tell me what happened March 1996. Can you remind me? And I said, yeah, Kentucky won the national championship, 1996. It was a great year, wasn't it? And he was like, yeah, but who was the last team that beat him that year? He was like, oh, yeah, I know. So he is very proud of that Mississippi State win in the SEC championship game before Kentucky's run in the NCAA tournament to win banner number 6 or 5.
Who's counting?
I'm not doing my math right now. This show's just way too off the rails at that point. But the nostalgia is real with Eric Dampier. Experience playing against Pope, just familiarity. That is one that I would monitor. But if there is a competitor that I would be concerned about, it is his old coach. There's a lot of familiarity with Rick Stansbury. LSU is going to be on him and try to be pushing for that one very, very hard. I'm sick and tired of LSU always being in the conversations for all these guys.
You brought him up. You just brought him up.
Yeah, that is fair, but that is another one that has popped up
DJ
to me.
Lopez on his team is also really good in 28.
He's a dude. Yeah, he's definitely dude. I believe it. Kentucky will be interested in that one. Anderson Diaz. Oh, three guys that I wanted to bring up in the 27 class before we transition and wrap up with Jamal stuff. We're planning on doing another show tomorrow with a lot more like intel based conversations that we're gonna have some KSR Plus stuff to kind of be.
Please subscribe.
Go complement what we're doing on Sources Say / Here Comes the Boom. So just bear with us on that one. But Malachi Jordan, your thoughts on that one and kind of how interesting his conversation was talking to him. Gabe Neesmith, that was the one that Kentucky was in for. Didn't get a lot of buzz with. Anderson Diaz, because Kentucky did watch him, but there is buzz that another school is trending quickly. Your thoughts on there's another one I read. I was going to make sure. But those three for right now until I find the other one.
I think Gabe was a guy that had a really good weekend. Kentucky watched some of his games, but I didn't see them watching a ton of them, and we didn't get the chance to talk to him. So we'll see how involved they are there. You said
Jason Gardner was the next one that I wanted to ask.
Jason Gardner, he's visited Kentucky before. That's going to be a tough one to get for Kentucky because his dad is on staff at Arizona. So maybe some scoop here, but Arizona might be in a good spot for him.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
What?
Yep. So we'll see what happens there.
You should put a plus story out first before you say that. I can't believe you put that out there.
Diaz, really good, smaller in person than you'd expect. But Mo Williams was watching him. Alabama, I've heard a lot there. And they were, I think, 2 or 3 coaches deep for him. He had some reclass buzz early, but it sounds like he's going to stay in 27. There's one person you asked me about that I cannot remember. You can't be throwing 5 names at me at once. I have a goldfish brain.
Malachi Jordan.
Yeah, Malachi Jordan, we watched early. He was really good. I didn't see him in the later games, but he hasn't heard from Kentucky. But it wouldn't surprise me if they got involved. But I didn't see Kentucky watching a ton of his games. They were there, though. They watched some of them. So he's a guy that's top 10 in the class. Doesn't have a ton of buzz for a borderline 5-star player, but that I could see that picking up as the summer goes on. Really good player at 6'6", 205, just really good size and can do a lot on the floor.
Nashville native, talked a lot about the Tennessee schools, and then even threw in a Rocky Top, and I did not love that part of the conversation. So I'm concerned that the longer this goes on, it does become a Tennessee conversation. I would love that.
Reached out, so.
But I'm just saying in terms of a good player going to a program that would then have to, we'd have to face. So that's one, just loose conversations that Tennessee came up with him often. All right, let's wrap this thing up with Jamal Crawford. That was fascinating. We show up day one, and, our assumption post-Tyron, we were the ones that broke the news about Jamal Crawford and just kind of Kentucky's push there, extending the offer. We talked that we had heard multiple sources say that he wanted the job, was interested in the job, wants to get into coaching, but just didn't know if now was the right time for him and his future with broadcasting, and his son is a 2029 prospect, number 1 in the class. He's an established star at Rainier Beach in Seattle. Is now the right time to just uproot everything right now that they have going, just cushy life. Everything about their life is just perfect right now. Is now the time to just throw a new variable in and move them across the country to Lexington and start fresh with, like a really tough job in Kentucky. It's like, if you're going to get into coaching, yes, obviously it makes sense to go to the highest level and be a blue blood. But man, it's a whole lot different than tuning in for a 2.5-hour window on game days for his NBA on NBC duties, and then play 4 games over the course of a weekend for EYBL and high school games and all that stuff. It's just a whole different grind to go to Kentucky. And I think he just understood that I want to do it, but is this the right opportunity? So we had already talked about all that stuff. We show up day 1 of EYBL, and the first game of the live period that we're watching is Mark Pope and Mo Williams sitting courtside for Jamal Crawford and JJ Crawford, and they're, what are they called now? They were Seattle Rotary, but now they're the Northwest Rotary, I think, something like that. NW Rotary.
Washington Palo Banqueros is what they are.
Love it. Fascinating first option for Mark Pope to be viewing, and we thought about that. We were like, why are we prioritizing a 2029 right now? Maybe the game set's just not good. Whatever the case was, didn't think anything of it because, again, we just kind of connected the Tyron Stokes dot, and just not that we had heard that it was done in Kentucky, that Jamal was definitely not coming to Kentucky, but it was just you only take him for Tyron reasons, or you pursue him for Tyron reasons, not just because he's going to be an awesome assistant coach. So didn't really think anything of it. He's making his way and shaking hands and taking pictures and being a celebrity all weekend long. We see him. We have an opportunity to talk to him, and could not have been more pleasant as a human being. Like, just putting it out there. Jamal is awesome. Just one of the coolest human beings I've ever met in my life. Going
up to him while he's eating dinner, that can rub some people the wrong way, but he was super open to talk with us. I was like, let's just go say hi. We don't need to have a full-on conversation. And then we just had a long conversation with him. It was really fun.
Was like, so what are you guys watching? Who you like in, active listening and wanting to be include us in the part of the conversation? It was like, Jamal, you're a 3-time Sixth Man of the Year in the NBA, buddy. You're NBA on NBC color analyst. Like, we're little people. You don't need to be. You could big time us. It's okay. But he was really, really, really interested in our conversation. So we were like, all right, well, if we're going this far, let's just get to the bottom of this Kentucky stuff. And he not only confirms it, that it was a thing, but says it's not dead yet, that he loves Kentucky, that he is a big fan of Mark Pope, has a lot of respect for Mark Pope, acknowledged, confirmed what we had reported in the past, that like this is a really complicated thing for him and a time of his life, that he does it like he's comfortable, doesn't know if right now is the time to get uncomfortable, but he is still very interested and hasn't turned it down. Talked to Mark Pope recently about it. So I didn't leave the conversation thinking, he's definitely going to take the Kentucky job. Maybe even lean like, yeah, probably not, but definitely enough to be like, well, the door's still open and Kentucky's still pushing. Like, if you look on the university job, official like job posting for the university, they've pushed it back like 7 times now, and it still keeps getting pushed. And if they're not filling it, and if he's going to keep the door open and keep the dream alive, like what happens if the playoff duties wrap up, the EYBL season wraps up at Peach Jam, and Kentucky's still looking for an assistant coach job? Like, the dream is definitely not dead. My understanding of that conversation, Jacob. What did you leave that conversation thinking that there was any chance that it was still a real possibility?
Oh yeah, I mean we basically asked him if it was still a possibility, and he said yes. So I left that conversation thinking the door's still open. He has some serious decisions to make, but Kentucky is pursuing him, and I think that it's something that's making him think pretty seriously.
Yeah, and I like having conversations with other coaches and people in the basketball business, the grassroots world. They're like, it's a no-brainer. If Mark Pope, forget Tyron and anything that has to do with Kentucky specifically. Like, if Pope can land him for future recruiting reasons, and our reporting in the past said that Pope was willing to give him full autonomy over recruiting decisions. You can go into whatever living rooms you want and go offer kids and close on kids that you identify, that you feel that you have relationships with, that you gain traction with, that you think are future stars. You've been there and done that, buddy. You don't need to explain yourself. Go land guys that you believe are contender. So a lot of it aligned. Yeah.
Like I want to just say, this is an assistant coaching position. Yes, the recruiting, you bring him in because he's going to be a good recruiter, but I think he can also be a very good basketball coach with head coaching aspirations. I think that he was coaching the whole weekend with his son, and he's getting that experience. He was at Rainier Beach. He's not a guy that comes in with years and years of coaching experience, but he's got NBA experience. He knows how to be coached. This isn't like, oh, you bring him in and he's a straight recruiter. Like, I think he can be a really good basketball coach through and through. So that part of it, I think, is underrated and is really appealing if you're Kentucky.
I mean, we're sitting there. He goes, I want to be a coach. I'm serious about this. And he said, look at this. And he pulls out his phone and he's scrolling through. He has thousands of plays that he's drawn up and like actions and unique, he was like, I'll be sitting there watching TV. I'll be sitting there waiting for something or, eating dinner, and I'll have something will pop in my brain and I'll be like, oh, and he'll draw up a new play and name it. Like he named them all stuff. And he was just like, it's my passion. I love being an analyst. I am in no rush to leave this position, but at the end of the day, I'm going to be a coach. I want to be a coach. Is this the opportunity for me to become a coach? And I think more interestingly for Kentucky, I asked him, is there any chance that, anybody else offering, or have you gotten any serious interest from other schools or whatever? And he goes, yeah, for sure. But Kentucky is the only one that I'm serious about. He kept talking about his respect for Mark Pope and his belief in Mark Pope. And that, if anything else, if whether Jamal comes, whether he turns it down, whatever, I think that's probably the biggest thing to keep an eye on and just appreciate as a Kentucky fan. If you're watching this, is that he felt strongly that Pope was going to turn things around, that he believed in Mo Williams, that hire, thought that this team that he has assembled is going to be very, very good, and believes that it's the foundation is there to be optimistic about the future of Kentucky basketball under Mark Pope, whether Jamal is a part of that or not. So I left feeling pretty good as a Kentucky fan with that conversation, wanting Jamal. Obviously, I told him, I was like, buddy, I'm a fan. Like, I grew up watching your highlights. I played you on 2K. You were a freaking ledge cheat code on 2K. Loved everything about you and what you gave to the game. It would be an honor to be able to work with you on a day-to-day basis at Kentucky. So selfishly, I definitely want him to be a part of this. But whether he does or not, I felt much better about just the status of Kentucky basketball under Mark Pope listening to him talk.
Yeah, and then what makes it so much better is the next morning I watched JJ play, and he was unbelievable. This kid is 2029. That's, in my brain, that's a sixth grader. I don't know. 2029.
He's like 4 years old.
He's like 2029 is not even a real year. I don't know what that means, but he was so good, and he might have been my favorite interview the whole weekend because you're used to the youngest class, like bad interviews, guys that don't do a lot of interviews, aren't media trained. No,
horrible interviews.
Oh, you talk to some underclassmen, you're going to get some bad interviews. That's nothing against them. That's all reps. JJ's gotten reps. JJ's done a lot of interviews. He was a hilarious interview. Like I said, my favorite interview of the weekend. And he will let you know that he beats his dad one-on-one. It's not even a question if you ask him.
He says that Jamal will put him through a workout, get him tired, get him exhausted, and then challenge him to a game of one-on-one. And JJ's like, and I still whoop him. I still crush him. So he's charismatic and charming and has all of the media trained traits that his father has. And goodness gracious, he has the ability too. I mean, what's the stat? 30 points on 9 dribbles?
Yeah, I didn't realize, I wasn't counting his dribbles during the game, but I saw some tweet after and I was like, oh, wow, that's pretty insane. Just insane is the only word I have to use for how describing his game on Sunday.
Special talent, hopefully, brought up Kentucky. Like, we talked to him and said, Kentucky's a real thing. And he's like, it's not just because of my dad and the connection to that program, but yeah, I'm a big fan. So
he's my favorite player in the 2029 class right now. He's also the only player I know in the 2029 class right now.
You sure? You sure? Louisville's own?
Oh, but he could be a 28. We'll see about that.
Ooh, interesting. All right. That was a lot of fun, man. We will.
I like that you told me that we're going to have just a quick video tonight, and we'll have our long one tomorrow. This was an hour long, but.
Well, you just kept yapping, and, it happens. It happens. The more sources say you do, the more, like, Sean will tell you. Speaking of that.
This was happy hour. I don't know what you're talking about.
Speaking of that, if Jamal Crawford takes the Kentucky job and J.J. Crawford has to play somewhere in high school in Lexington, and Sean Smith gets J.J. Crawford to play for him at Frederick Douglass, you will never be able to tell me ever again for the rest of my life.
Coaching J.J. Crawford would be just something.
Could you imagine? Like, you talk to NBA. You talk to
Jamal needs to get some coaching experience before going to Kentucky. I think he should spend next season on Sean Smith's staff before going to Kentucky in 28.
See, he's an assistant coach at Rainier Beach, so he could become an associate head coach under Sean Smith, then join Pope's. No.
Well, if you're listening, we got your whole career path all lined up.
Well, you'll get it.
We have an in for you at Frederick Douglass. We know a guy. We are people who know people.
Oh, Frederick Douglass's own J.J. Crawford would be, man, absolutely magic. That would be a lot of fun, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. A lot of fun. Very fun episode. This was supposed to be like 30 minutes, and it ended up being an hour. But that's life with the sources saying.
30 minutes of basketball talk. 30 minutes of me saying nonsense, but it works.
All right, we'll run it back tomorrow with more intel and conversation with the whispers of EYBL and things that people are saying about the Kentucky roster, about Kentucky recruiting, just the health of the program. I think it's some good stuff that I think will be more positive than fans thought. And still some concerns, but a lot of positive. I felt better about the program leaving Memphis this weekend, and I think you should too by the time we do our show tomorrow. So for Jack, for Jacob, appreciate you joining us on this. Here comes the boom. Sources say here comes the sources say crossover event, and we'll be back again tomorrow. We'll see you next time. Oh, hold on, I have to close out the show, so hold on. Let me make sure I'm ready. We'll see you next time. Go Cat.